guys, my name is Deborah. I am part of the TCS Network, part of the Optic team, and I'm here today with Mike. Mike, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. A bit tired.
How was your day?
Day was a bit long, so I'm in London. We came up from Manchester this morning, so I'm very tired, but altogether I'm good, and yeah, stressed but good.
What's the past week been for you?
God, I'm really being interviewed. Past week's been good. Very busy. Obviously, we've got the fundraiser currently ongoing.
Okay.
So most of my time has been spent doing that. But altogether, again, good. Stressful, busy, but good. I think that's literally my, I should kind of coin that phrase because that's what I'd send to everybody. Busy, stressful, but good.
And for those who don't really know what the TCS Network is, can you give us a little bit of insight into?
For those who don't know what TCS is, the TCS Network is a news network.
Okay.
It's the first ever, and I know this, I checked it, 100% people-funded network for millennials, essentially. So it's two things. It's one, a movement, which sees ordinary people take control of their own narrative. Rescue our media system from a couple of conglomerates that currently dominate it.
Okay.
But also, it's a news network where we report on current affairs, what's happening in the world, and we kind of purport this common sense brand of news reporting where we kind of essentially give the news to people, but do it in a very kind of straightforward fashion, a very common sense way, basically.
So you mentioned people taking control of their own narrative. What does that look like?
I know that sounds very Brexit-esque.
Yeah.
So most people don't know. So most people don't know how the mainstream media works.
Yeah.
6 companies dominate 71% of the newspaper market. If you break it down further, you find out 3 people own these 6 companies. So 3 people consume about or dominate 84% of the media landscape as we know it. That is an unruly amount of control and power these few actors have, and the problem with that is when you have a couple of actors that essentially control to a large degree the media landscape, they're allowed to amass enormous political and economic power, which then kind of distorts the media landscape. So, for instance, the Daily Mail don't just randomly publish articles, it's coming from somewhere and they have an agenda. The Daily Telegraph don't just randomly publish articles, it's coming from somewhere and they have an agenda. So when you add these different things together, all the different kind of mainstream media outlets, what you see is an agenda that almost perfectly reflects the political views of those who own it. So that's what we've got going on, is lots of ownership that people can't see. So what we try to do at TCS is encourage people to take control of their own narrative, not have the Daily Mail tell us what it's like to be black, or have the Guardian telling people what it's like to be a feminist, but giving ordinary people on the ground a chance to speak for themselves, essentially. Okay,
so an ordinary person like me, how could I get involved? I'm taking control of my own narrative.
How could you get involved?
How can I be a part of this?
Well, you can join us. You can join TCS. We're a growing network. We have about 74 people who are part of the network now, and anyone can come. You can write your own articles. You can, you can speak up for yourself. So, for instance, if you read the mainstream media in the UK, there is a certain bent they've put on the Muslim narrative, right? Because there's a couple of reasons why that happens. Either one, they don't get enough Muslims in their workplace such that they don't know what Muslims actually think, or there's an agenda, and I'll leave people to kind of to decide what they think what they think the truth is. With TCS, we invite Muslims to come and to speak about what it's like, and to have lots of different people speaking. Our strength is that we don't have a specific angle we're trying to push. The whole point of common sense, and the reason why we use the name common sense, is because what we want to do is facilitate a conversation and have and essentially try and find common sense between two opinions. So the difference is we are dedicated or devoted, for want of a better word, to hearing 2 sides, and that's the real key thing. That's what makes it different, is that we want to hear 2 key sides. So if you want to speak about what it's like to be, I don't know, whatever it is you want to speak about, we'll invite someone else on to also give the counter narrative and to open up a discussion, because I just believe through talking, through discussing, we have a better chance at reaching a common sense. That's literally our strength. Of course, we have more functional things. You can join a forum that we have where you can give your opinion. You can obviously comment on articles. We have a whole membership system where the more you pay, the more access you have to the network. Staggered membership, it's called. So if you support the revolution, giving £2 a month or £3 a month, as it were, then you get a chance to be part of discussions we have. You get to vote on what happens. Like, we've got a whole system that allows people control. You know, I guess the whole point, or what we're trying to do here, is to put people in the middle of content creation. Because if your funding is already guaranteed by 3 people, you have no incentive to represent the interest of it. Like, why would you do that when your funding comes from elsewhere? But because we flip things on its head and our funding relies on people, we are always beholden to people. You know, so if someone messages me and say, "Mike, I don't like this," I can't go, "Whatever." I gotta go, "Why? What don't you like? What did we do wrong?" And we've made some mistakes. I mean, you can see our mistakes there everywhere, right? But we're growing, and that's the difference. We're committed to having people be part of this kind of process with us. I don't know if I answered your question.
I would say that it's interesting, in fact, because you do mention this idea. It really sounds like a revolution. But you also mentioned how, you know, there are a lot of big boys in this game that, you know, are taking a lot of the percentage of the media that's out there. So what would you say to someone who's kind of cynical about the idea, you know, you're very small, you don't really, you know what you're doing. A lot of people that are contributing are ordinary people, don't have experience. How do you plan to get on the same level or kind of challenge, you know, those who've been doing it for years?
I got you. Well, before I speak to that specific question, I think it's important to notice a couple of things. The more we see a certain structure, the more we believe it's immovable. But that's not true. Like the wars fall. I mean, history has shown us that dictators get toppled. History has shown us that. The Arab Springs showed us that. So this idea that, you know, there's some immovable objects, and I know the UK is predisposed to kind of, you know, aristocracy, but the idea that there's some irremovable objects that can't change is not true, and I think we must put that out there. Revolutions do occur. Now, when I say revolution, I know that conjures up in people's mind images of people with batons and on the street, and that's not what I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about is kind of, it's about self-actualization. Essentially, what we want to do is equip people, and it's not that controversial. We want to equip people to speak up. That is it. You know, of course, having a massive media organization would be amazing, and it would help us to do that better. But that's not my goal. My goal isn't really to go out there and to, you know, be a CNN or BBC. I mean, we can compare to some of them. That's not my goal. My goal is to have people who start to understand that at work, you know, or in school, or whatever their kind of sphere of influence is, they have a duty, as it were, to speak up for themselves, to say, no, that doesn't represent me well. Because I don't subscribe to this ideological divide that certain wings of politics want to push. Namely, you know, people belong to certain circles and they need to stay in those non-interacting bubbles. I think things are more complicated than that. And the more we have people speaking up and sharing their opinion on their complexities, the greater degree to which we represent the real world, as it were. Now, have we faced challenges, and will we face challenges? Well, yes, we are competing, as you said, with massive media organizations. But one thing that they don't really get is the millennial market. And I say that, and I hope some of them watch this. We are millennials. I'm just a millennial, right? We understand how our consumption trends have changed, and also what democratizing feature, or factor rather, social media has had. Like, because of social media, everything has changed. We now can directly compete with massive organizations because we have an army that's growing of people who are tired, quite frankly, tired of old big institutions. The best way to look at this is, look at Brexit. Brexit is a great example. I mean, my master's is in political science, democracy, the elections, and we were looking at lots of elections, and you know, we were studying whether Brexit would happen. I remember being in a class debating it, and we all kind of stood there and thought, well, it's not possible. I mean, I used to work in Europe. We're like, it's impossible. I mean, Europe is an old institution. We joined in 1973. I mean, we tried to join 3 times, the ECC, and we were kind of saying it's impossible for us to leave, is what I said. Guess what happened? We left. We left because we failed in all our graphs and all our, you know, multivariate analysis. We failed to understand millennials, young people, the social media, information. Like, everything has changed. We live in a totally different media landscape now. And I move to say that it's possible for small organizations, especially independent ones like us, to garner incredible support, to galvanize lots of young people in a way that these old institutions simply can't. For instance, I don't watch TV anymore, and a lot of people don't watch TV. YouTube numbers are shooting through the roof. Netflix numbers are, because people are changing. The world is changing, and a lot of these organizations haven't come to terms with that. They don't realize it. We do. We are right at the cusp of the change. So I'm not worried about the BBC. I mean, more power to them. If they're trying to push something, go for it. I'm not against any of that. What I do think is that there's enough pieces of cake left for us to have some, is my point. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying that. Absolutely, I believe that we can achieve something, and we've done so. I mean, last year we started the fundraiser where we raised £50,000 in 50 days. Okay, take us back to the start. So yeah, that's always a good conversation starter.
How did you launch? What was the process like? Talk us through everything that happened from the day that the idea was conceived to your first fundraiser.
Right. So it seems a long time ago. It was only 9 months ago. But again, it speaks to this notion of it's impossible. It's really, really difficult, because I have ideas every day. And I think the human brain has like 18 million thoughts run through it a day. That's what they say. I can't remember any of them, but apparently it happens. Now, like most people, I had an idea and I thought it was just another idea, right? But this one kept on coming back, and I felt a very strong lead-in to listen to the idea. And I spoke to people about it, and as you meet some, oh my god, that's amazing, Mike. So, you meet those types, and then you meet other kind of like, it's not really that, it's not going to happen, it's really difficult. You meet those types as well. But I decided to just take a punt and go for it. I just finished my master's, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a PhD, but I'll delay it for a year and just see what happens of this thing, right? So I messaged a couple of friends. Someone kind of like, yeah, Michael, we follow you on every project, so we'll join you with this one kind of thing. And then I put it onto Twitter. Yeah, I'll put a tweet out saying, anyone want to join this new thing I'm going to start? And 79 people filled out an application form to join. I said I want to start a new political show. I want to start a new political, news thing. And 79 people applied, and I called every single one of them and had a chat with them about what I want to do.
And why do you think 79 people thought that?
Because they're tired as well. Because they're tired. They're tired of seeing things, talking about them, but not taking steps. And what I love about that is, Twitter tells you the impressions you got. That tweet got something like 4,000 impressions, which means 4,000 people, I think, saw it. 79 decided, I'm not just going to sit down and, pontificate about the problems that exist. I'm going to take a step, right? So they were tired. They were disenfranchised, tired of the system. And rather than debating, sought to structurally change things, because things change through structures, right? You've got to structurally change things. And they applied, and I called them, and we had a chat. We met in this very place we're in today. We had our first open meeting last year in June. And I told them everything. I said, I want to start a news network. I know it's going to be really difficult. My background is in policy and, youth advocacy and stuff like that. But I'm going to learn. I'm going to take courses. I'm going to really work hard. I'm a thinker. I'm going to think about it. And I said, who's with me? And I think a couple of them said no. But the rest of them stayed. A good 70-something people stayed. And then our team grew to 100 and something people. Then I said, the way we're going to do this is raise £50,000 in 3 days to show people that it's possible and that there is an appetite for what we're talking about. And we did it. We raised it. Despite all the different, it's impossible, it's hard, it's difficult. Oh, the BBC's so big. And it's like, okay, great. It's easy to find faults. That's a level 1 thing to do. It's harder to find solutions. And that's what we were trying to do. And these guys all helped out. They all went out. We went on the streets. We spoke about the problem. People agreed. We went to schools. We did an online campaign. We knocked on doors. We just really spoke to people about the problem, and they agreed that our mainstream media is rigged against the ordinary person. We've got elites that dominate everything, and they expect us to kind of cower because we don't have the same education they have. And that really frustrates me. I like a good debate and a good chat. I don't like one-sided things. I like fairness. They sound very, idealistic things to say, but I mean it, you know? And so we raised 50K, and that allowed us to start the network. So essentially, since then, we have a news network now where we publish articles every day. We bring out videos. We do live events. We've gone to different universities to do shows, to waking up young people as well about what's happening. With our most recent one being in University of London, just a couple of stones throw away from where we are now. And yeah, things have been growing. Things have been growing on social media. We've been gaining followers, and things are just growing, you know. And now we are at phase 2 of the campaign, where, because it's a 3-year campaign. This is what I told them. It's going to take us 3 years to really grow things out to a level where we're ready to compete.
So, in terms of phase 2,
yeah,
you're talking about growth. So, talk me through kind of the difficulties that you faced during this phase that has obviously led you to the point where you now want to launch a second fund.
Yeah, well, the intention was always to run it, because I'm not naive. I understand how these things work. They're very expensive things to do. You would be shocked how much lights cost. Like, I didn't know. I thought it was just a light, turn it on. But these lights we have in the studio now aren't cheap, you know. So with phase 1, we just about stayed alive. You know, it took a lot of personal investment, a lot of personal hard work and savings, and so many different things to keep everything afloat. Because it is expensive. It's very expensive. There's a reason why people don't do this every day. You don't hear, hey, another news network has started. You know, this is the first one I've ever heard. You know, so phase 1 allowed us to kind of get started. Phase 2 allows us to consolidate what we've done and to build a network that can compete. So far, all our content has been free. No one's been charged a dime for anything. You just come and you read articles, you watch articles, everything's free. You know, so we're not funded anyway. We relied on last year. Phase 2 allows us to have some full-time staff. Everyone I'm telling you has been working for free. A lot of them work for just do this on weekends. I mean, you're here today. You're here because you believe, right? And it's beautiful to see that. But phase 2 allows us to properly remunerate. Is that the word? Remunerate.
Yeah, it's a hard word.
It's one of those words, right?
Remunerate.
I used to have a speech impediment.
Oh, really?
But, yeah, let's not go there. It's not the point of this conversation, right? But it allows us to properly
just pay. Yeah, so pay.
I'll tell you what they taught me in school. To say the first letter. It allows us to R. This is an almighty cop out. The people who've been working so hard, you know, to give them something, to provide full-time jobs. Some people quit their jobs for this. Like, there's a lot of people who are ready to really do great work, but we just need the capital. So essentially, phase 2 allows us to have 6 full-time staff, to up our production cost. I mean, you'll have seen some videos. Content's good, production could be better. So phase 2 allows us these things as well as doing another university tour, producing more shows, you know, more live events where we bring in guests and we have a debate with them. Now, that's the kind of stuff we want to be able to do with phase 2, and it's so desperately needed because, like I said, we haven't monetized anything, so it's not like we're making money; it's all free, you know. So this phase now, we need dreamers, we need people who like you care enough to take a stand and say, okay, cool, I'm gonna do something about this, and that's where we are now. So
as far as the fundraiser, talk us through kind of what your goal is as far as getting the capital. So what is, do you want to share, you know,
absolutely. So we've been approached by funders who said, we like what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've received at least 6 emails from serious funders. You know, you get people who email you all the time saying, "Oh, look, you know, funders who say that we want to fund what you're doing." However, it always comes with a but.
Yeah.
You know, but we would like this, you know, but we would also love it if you guys can do this, and that's how the game works right now. Is you've gotta give a bit, take a bit, so on and so forth. But we don't want to play that game, quite frankly. We don't want to play that game, and so we're gonna go to the public again.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have another fundraising campaign where we rely on ordinary people again because they helped us last time.
Yeah.
And I was serious about staying true. It is far easier to go to a funder and just get a £60,000, and that helps you with half your fundraiser. But I think it robs us of something that makes us special, which is that we're not beholden to anybody but the people. And I know idealism sounds really funny to people, especially in the pessimistic world, but all it takes is a flicker You know, I mean, I never thought I would see a black president in my time. I'll be honest with you. It just seemed a bit kind of like that's just not going to happen. I mean, I studied America when I was in school. Like it's a very like racism is entrenched in the system there, but it happened.
Yeah.
You know, and Obama lost the first time. Remember, he lost the first time. Not the presidential election. He lost the Democratic nomination. And in 2008 or 4, actually, when he spoke at the DNC National Convention, that's when people, oh, who's this guy? He's like, yeah, I'm the guy who's been trying for a long time.
Yeah.
And now there are young people who've only known a black president and then a white president. That's their reality. We know there's like a 40-something that would know white or we're not black. But some young people are like, oh yeah, of course, like we've had a black one, he was first actually, and a white one. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about that. So Trump is interesting, but you have to catch me another day for Trump, because we'll be here forever. But yeah, so we're gonna rely on ordinary people. We're gonna fundraise the way we did last time. We got an online campaign now. People can pledge through our website. You go on TCS Network.co.uk and you make a pledge. And we're relying on people to give 100 quid, 200 quid, whatever it is. Just give whatever you can, and essentially to rack up the numbers such that we climb over 150k, which allows us to consolidate and build a network, to have full-time staff, to have an office, to have all these different things that basically allows us to create quality content, not worried about whether the lights can stay on. Essentially, that's where we're at now. So
as far as going more into the fundraising, talk us through the experience. How has it been so far getting people on board to pledge? Talk us through the ups, the downs, you know.
It's difficult, as anything is. Fundraising is notoriously difficult because you've got a time. So we've got to raise this money pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The easy part is speaking to people about the problem, because almost everyone agrees.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this because I'm on camera. I am yet to hear someone who goes, hate it, don't think it's good. Everyone goes, yeah, we need this. I was having a chat with my friend the other day about this. Like, it's familiar to people because you all know stuff. Now, there's things we all know when we're in a room that we can't quite put a finger on, but we know it's there. You know, and I think anyone who's perceptive, conscientious, even to a slight degree, can suss something's broken in our current system. Something's not right.
Yeah.
And when I speak about TCS, for a lot of people, they describe it as an articulation of what they feel, but they can't quite speak about. They go, that's it. Yeah. Oh, man. You know, and so that's easy. I love doing that. But I love talking about TCS because, like I said, everyone goes, yeah, you're right. It's what we need. The next step is encouraging people. And what's difficult is to do something about it. I think in most people's lives, they have problems, and they think about things, and I hate to get metaphysical here, but it's the only way I know, but they don't do anything about it. They just kind of bury it somewhere. And what we're asking people to do with this campaign is not to just think about issues and articulate, but to do something, to put their money where their mouth is, to seek a structural change. Because what we've set up here is a structural way, a legitimate structural way, not a profit-driven, money-driven, but a legitimate structured way to see change. So when people give to us, they're not giving us money. They are investing in a way they want to see the world change. And I believe that, absolutely. It's what you do when you give to Oxfam. You're saying, hey, here's 20 quid or 100 quid. I want to see the world change in this way. That's all it is. And people must understand those small nominal decisions, when you aggregate them, that's how change comes. Because I have no doubt one day we'll employ hundreds and really drive this conversation thing. No doubt about that. What people get a chance to do right now is be part of that. And say, oh yeah, when it was like a year old or 7 months and struggled, oh yeah, we propped it up. This is our thing. Because if we don't, this gets kidnapped by another mainstream, player out there that goes, oh, we'll buy this, and they take it up. But we can't allow that because there's a strength in numbers, man. And I just hope people get that. There's a strength in numbers. When we come together, we can change these things. And that's the hard part, is motivating people to take a change, to make a stand, to take a stand, rather. That's the term, to take a stand, and to invest in a way they want to see the world change.
I mean, it's really interesting, in fact, because I've been speaking to a lot of people about TCS Network, and, trying to get people involved and basically more involved in the conversation, because I feel like that's just as important to keep it going. Because I think as far as getting people involved, you kind of have to kind of touch them at a certain level.
Yeah.
And I think that what I've been facing in particular is a lot of cynicism, and I think it's because, like you said, we live in a kind of democratized world where everyone has a piece of the cake. Everyone can film. Anyone can, start up a channel or whatever, start a platform up. And a lot of people kind of think, okay, there's a lot of platforms out there already. There are a lot of small campaigns and platforms like us, probably not in the same facet, but who offer a similar kind of power to the people.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think there's a lot of channels out there, but they're all echo chambers.
Okay.
They're all groups of people who believe the same thing, agreeing with each other. We don't agree right now, because this is what we preach almost religiously in this network is, what's the other side? What's the other side? Because I don't believe the world's as simple as we make it out to be, So you won't find, I don't think, and I looked, because before I started this thing, I really did look. I don't think you'll find anything out there that's committed to two sides of the conversation. People, they amalgamate in groups of people who agree with them. I mean, how many times you go for your friend and go, let me see who I hate so I can have a chat with them? You don't do that. You follow people you like on Twitter. You follow people you like on Tumblr. Like, everyone in your life typically agrees with you. That's why they're your friends, right? However, what we do here is we're committed to a conversation, a chat with two opposite sides. And I think we do it best, quite frankly. Of course, someone else can start something like this. Someone else can start something like this, but they do it better. And that's our thing here, is that here there's a commitment to two sides. And I say that because personally, I'm split two ways on everything. I'm like, yeah, I see this, but I also see this. And through that discussion and that deliberative process, we come out as a kind of solution. That's what we do. Power to the people is one part of what we do. What we do happens to empower people, right? But that's not the sole aim. The sole aim isn't to rob the mainstream media of some power. I mean, that's good, and I think that's enough to get anyone motivated. But what's more interesting for me, and what I'm really passionate about, is discussions like this. Conversations where you go, I disagree with that. And you go, but why? And we learn about each other's upbringing, and we learn so much about the world through that disagreement. But if we run away from it, we should never disagree. No, we should disagree. Because through that, ideas emerge, thoughts emerge, and that's what we do. And that's what me and Afshan, our editor-in-chief, we literally argue every day. I actually need to work on it. I think it's a problem. We need to start getting along. But I think it's so good for us, because I've learned so much about her, about feminism, about Islam, about since I met her, because she talks about it. I go, I don't agree, and then we go back and forth, and then you learn, and I just think people would be better having a bit of that in their life. Some common sense in your life would make you better. I think, I think a piece of common sense in your life would make you better, and that's my real kind of passion and desire for it. It's not just about this kind of like liberal young people take it. No, it's not about that at all. It's about conversation. That's what it's about, which is dead these days. People don't want to be offended, so they kind of harbor in safe spaces. They're not all bad, but most are. And people don't talk. I disagree with you. You shouldn't get a chance to speak. No, hear me out. Am I just a random evil person, or do I actually have a point to make? And you only know that if you have a chat with people, and that's my big desire. Let's facilitate the conversation. Let's hear the other side. And through that, ideas, enlightenment might emerge.
So talk us through some of that, the content that you've created that kind of demonstrates that kind of two-sided conversation. What have you done? What kind of shows, content have you created?
Well, if you look at Let's Talk Common Sense, you'll see a lot of disagreement there. Routinely, you'll see us interview guests that we challenge about whatever they say. If you read our articles equally, you'll get different sides, different takes on current affairs. I mean, a lot of things we want to do, and what this next fundraiser allows us to. So next year we had planned to release a web series called Common Sense Coffee. I mean, you have a team working on that, and what that would see is people come together like this, atheists and say religious people, or gays and straights, or Black Lives Matter campaigners and white nationalists sit down and have a chat over coffee, because I love coffee, right? And they basically hash out, well, why do you hate me? You know, and I think that's such an interesting thing, because it gives you a chance to really hear the psyche of someone who has hate in their heart, I think, you know. And then they, for the first time, because, you know, with racism, most people who are racist don't know black people. They don't know. So contact a lot of times breaks down their, because they go, oh, just like me. It's like, well, yes, but when you stay away from each other, you start to draw caricatures. That's what happens. You start to make things easier. So that series is one we hope to commission like as soon as possible. But that's a great thing. That, and alongside so many other things that really just bring people together. With our outlet, you know, one thing with our online kind of publication, you know, we have writers that don't belong in the same network, quite frankly. Just, I mean, I remember we did a show in Hull, in the University of Hull, and on the way back, I was with a lad in the car. He writes for us, and we were kind of driving back to Seven, and I just thought we'd make a small talk. And then he I won't repeat what he said, but he said something that I just kind of went, "You crazy? That's a crazy belief. What?" You know? And in my head, I went to shut him down, like, "Let me tell you why you're wrong," kind of thing. But then I thought, "Oh, then this is what we're all about." So I said, "Explain yourself."
Yeah.
I want to hear where you're coming from. And he explained it, and he said, "Oh, no, free market is the best thing to do, and we don't need any government. Get rid of government. Have the." And I was like, it's a very bold idea, and I still think very crazy idea. But in that moment, I got a chance to learn about him. You know, and what we want to do is take all those comments and conversations we have and put them online, so people can see it and invite people to have more common sense in their lives as well. That's the real desire.
If people want to get involved with TCS Network, what is the next step? How can people get involved? Let people know.
Well, the best way to get involved now is to pledge.
Okay. To
be part of this fundraiser, to take a stand. I mean, you didn't watch this video, you know, to be entertained, nor do you read out. Like, it's to see something happen. It's to change. The big thing we're thinking about now. So that's the best way right now, is to support this fundraiser, because this fundraiser keeps this platform alive. I mean, if this platform's alive, you can't access our stuff, quite frankly. There's no way. So pledge something. Pledge something. And don't delay, because the more you delay, the more you don't, right? Pledge something. And then encourage friends to do the same.
And how can we stay connected?
And a TCS Network. Everything I'm saying, do on TCS Network. The reason I speak about the fundraiser is because it is the most important thing we're doing right now. Without it, we just won't survive. So if you go on tcsnetwork.co.uk, you'll be able to pledge. You'll be able to kind of be part of the network. You can sign up for an account. And on social media, it's TCS Network. It's just TCS Network, and you can, if you want to find out about the team. And I think on Instagram we do that. If you want to find out about the articles, to Facebook and Twitter, and if you want to find out about videos, we do YouTube. You subscribe and you join. And join this network. It's growing. Things are happening. We need more people to take a stand. Yes, there's pessimistic people out there. I'll end on this. There's lots of pessimistic people out there. That's fine. We only need a couple of optimists. Just a couple. Last year, 500 people helped us cross the line. 4,000 people saw the video. Only 500 took a stand, and we were successful. I want people listening, watching, whatever they're doing, to be part of the people that make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love doing this.